Okay, Gordon, thanks for joining us here today.
Welcome.
Firstly, we'd just like to ask you what are the main priorities for you and the club at this time?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that while it's been a very challenging first weekend post for obvious reasons, I'm delighted to be here. Somerset is a great club with a very rich history, rich heritage, and goes back to 1875, and I feel very privileged to be in this position, and I'm really excited about the challenge ahead of building on the great work of so many people who have contributed to the success of Somerset over many years. So I think that's the first thing to say. Obviously, as I said, this week's been very challenging for all the reasons that everyone that's watching this knows about, and my priorities have become very immediate. I think they call it crisis management, and I think there's a number of businesses across the UK now who are in that mode. And my challenge is to balance the priorities of duty of care to our staff, to our playing squad, to our ground staff, to our catering staff, to our marketing staff, to every department in the building, to make sure that our staff are safe, and at the same time as helping our members stay safe, our commercial partners stay safe, and anyone that comes onto this site using various facilities. So they are my priorities on the duty of care side. I've got to balance that with financial realities. There is a lot of uncertainty amidst this crisis about financials, and I need to balance the duty of care with ensuring that the club navigates its way through this crisis from a financial perspective. So I'm trying to do that, and at the same time ensuring that we've got an effective communication strategy, which is really, this is the start of that strategy, to ensure that as many people as possible know what's happening in a very fast moving situation, and comms is more challenging when it is that fast moving, and that's a challenge that we're up to.
So just how have the club been dealing with the situation that we find ourselves in?
Well, we've made some real decisions today. Reluctantly, we've made decisions to close our conferencing and events business until the end of April. We've closed our retail business and put that online, and we've closed the premises to the general public, while we will be operating with a different staffing model over the coming weeks, which will entail a number of people where they can working from home, and making sure that we've got the premises cleaned properly on a daily basis, and anyone coming in on a skeleton staff basis are safe, and that we mitigate those risks. So we've made those decisions today, which will mean new arrangements for staff from Monday. So they're the first things that we've done, and then obviously we're now starting to communicate with people to ensure that they realise that the club is still here. We'll have phone lines open, the website will be kept up to date, so there's still a way to keep in touch with the club, but they're the immediate measures that we've taken. Next week I'll be talking with stakeholders that are connected to the club. I've already met with the council this week. We've further discussions with them, and our banking partners and others to actually start to plot a way through this particular issue.
So just to clarify then, in terms of opening times, the Stragglers Coffee House and the retail will be closed to the public?
They will close, and that's greatly reluctant that we have come to that conclusion, but it will not be lost on people that lots of other businesses are making that decision for good reason, and that for us is all about duty of care, to ensure that we play our part as a responsible employer to help the country come to terms with this crisis.
What are the players doing at the moment, and where are they currently based?
Sure, well, it's not easy for the players at the moment because there is that uncertainty. I think that's the first thing to say, and after such a positive season last season, we're disappointed that we've got this uncertainty, but there's a lot of people across the country at the moment that are disappointed and really struggling with this, and during times like this, sport becomes almost irrelevant because there's a much bigger issue at play. But what we've done is work with the players to ensure that they've got training programs. we're splitting them into groups so that they're not all together at once to mitigate the risk to them as our employees and show that duty of care. But there is still some training schedule. They've still got training schedules, sometimes here, sometimes at home doing physical training. So we're balancing those two things to ensure that when the season does start, that they're well equipped and they're ready to go.
And just for members and supporters, how would you best recommend they keep up to date with the developments at the club at present?
Well, as I said earlier, communication here is going to be one of our key objectives, and to make sure that's really effective. We will be keeping the website up to date on a regular basis, and we will be using our social media channels extremely actively as well to ensure that that is. And we will be continuing with the members newsletter, which we email out on a regular basis, and so we'll be using all of those channels to ensure that everybody knows what's going on here.
In terms of conferencing and events, what would you recommend for people that are due to attend or imminently looking at hosting their event here? What would your piece of advice be?
Well, what we have made the decision, again reluctantly today, is to close our conference and events business until the end of April, and then we will review that decision on an ongoing basis. And I can only apologise to our very loyal group of corporate customers who utilise those facilities on a regular basis. It's the last thing we want to do is to cancel bookings, but we feel that's the right thing to do for their own well-being and welfare. However, if they do want to have an event beyond the end of April, I would encourage them to communicate with us in the usual channels through the website or through the phone, which will be set up and running, and we will then do our best to accommodate their needs at that time.
And just finally, are there any silver linings here, Gordon?
Well, look, I think that before I came into this job, one of the big things that I feel passionately about is ensuring that Somerset County Cricket Club play a really significant role at the heart of the community in Somerset and the South West, actually, to ensure that we are making a contribution rather than just taking from the community. And if there is a silver lining, and during the course of this week it's been very difficult, I think, for anyone across the population to find too many of those, but one of them could be is we will be working closely with our partners around the town to ensure that our employees are playing their part in making sure that the town continues, the population of the county continues to address this issue robustly, and where we can use our resources to help, we will be most certainly putting our best foot forward and speaking with the council and other parties about how we can do that. And I think that's important for people to realise that Somerset's County Cricket Club's got a heart to it, and that we will be working with those partners as well as clubs and leagues in the county to try and help them deal with these challenges which affect them as much, if not worse, than they do us across that. And I think when you go through these experiences and you go through adversity together, you very often come out stronger at the end of it, and it creates lifelong bonds when you go through once in a century issues such as the one we're doing. So I'm optimistic about the future, but clearly we need to navigate through these choppy waters as so many other small businesses and clubs do across the country.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.